Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody, we are live on Facebook.
Increase in our market.
Lab Code Agents, good to see all of you. Brian and Dale back again for Cash Call this week. So Brian, I have a couple of calls that I wanted to play today. Like I've got a short one and a slightly longer one. I think I'll play the short one first. With that short one, let me bring up the folder over here. So with the short one, this is somebody who's calling old expireds, and I just want to give people a real quick script to be able to call old expires because this person really butchered it. And I didn't know you could make it hard, but they've made it hard, and we're just going to show them. So, you know, I forget, you and I do this so much. We work on such a high level that it's easy to forget that either somebody who is just getting started in prospecting or lead generating, or somebody who is tapping into a particular type of lead that they've never worked before, just may not, they don't have some of the, what we would consider obvious scripting and language, right? So it's like one of those things you got to show them, right? So that's one. And then the other one is a scenario where this lead is looking for their brother, right? So I want to talk about that scenario. I want to talk about the scenario where you get the not decision maker.
All right. Oh, they're looking. So, you know, communication is very important. What I heard was he called us because he couldn't find his brother. And I was like, that's a very strange call. I'm not sure where you're going to go with that.
You're like, wow, that sounds like a great call. No, it's actually not that great. It's no, he's looking on behalf of his brother.
Got it. No, that's different.
Or a house.
Awesome. Well, let's play them and let's see what we can do to help some people have some better communication.
Let me share my screen here. All right.
Good afternoon.
Hold on a second. I realized I have a radio playing in the background here. Let's turn that off. There we go. Okay. Go back over to this guy. Turn this up. And here we go.
Good afternoon.
Hi, is this Mohana?
Speaking.
Hi, this is Jay out of Skokie. I'm calling in regards to your property at 9909 North Huber. We have some clients that are working with us from our brokerage who are looking in this area, but we can't currently find any inventory that's available right now at this price point. And I know that you listed your property a little bit ago, and you decided to like.
You know, this house is sold about 3 months ago.
There we go. Now, I think that this agent actually confused a circle prospecting script or a just listed or just sold script with an expired script, right? An old expired script. And so, you know, the property already sold. So basically, the old expired script is really simple. Hi, this is so-and-so with whatever. How are you today? They answer and you say, I'm calling about your property at whatever address. Did that property ever sell? That's pretty much it. What do you guys do anything different, Brian?
So theoretically, and I'll say that very strongly, if you're buying old expired data from people like Vulcan or Land Voice or RedX, then theoretically they're scrubbing that for you. But I will let everybody know it's not 100% scrub. So my experience is it's somewhere in the range of 60% accurate as far as whether it's sold or not. So you can go through the time and try and figure that out. I mean, it's not hard to do. It takes, 20, 30 minutes to scrub 50 of those leads. But this is generally mine. Hey, Dale, this is Brian. I'm just reaching out to you today because we're calling people whose house didn't sell in 2019, whatever year expires I'm calling from. And we wanted to let you know the market has increased approximately 30% since then. And, you had your house listed for $450,000 back then. And I know it didn't sell. I actually believe we might be able to get you even more than that today. Is that something you're interested in learning something about?
Great.
That's kind of where I go with it. Because did your house not sell and you want to sell it still? We had a really great experience. We're okay with it. Oh, by the way, now you have 50, 60, 70, $80,000 more equity in it. That might be a different conversation. And, so that's where I like to go. And then, if they say, no, I'm not really interested in selling it. One of the things that I like to do, and part of, I have completely selfish motives here. Let me be honest. I own a mortgage company. So the other question I'm going to ask them is, out of curiosity, what is your interest rate? Oh, my interest rate's 4.5%. Perfect. Well, if I could get you an interest rate that might be, in the high twos, low threes, is that something you'd be interested in hearing anything about? that might be another way to go. And again, even if you don't own a mortgage company, you can make your lender very happy with you
Yes.
by referring some of that stuff over, and maybe that will convince them that maybe they should participate in some of your marketing. And so, there's different ways to go about things, and sometimes we do things for completely altruistic things, and sometimes we do them with positive ulterior motive. Let's say.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm sure that most people now should have lenders that are contributed to their marketing. And I'm assuming your lending company contributes to your marketing since you own both of them.
I do, but that's really a shell game if you think about
it. That's more about tax breaks.
Yeah.
But either way, your lender will be very happy if you could just mention them, if you can just take a stab at it, generate that business for them.
Absolutely. And it's worth it. And, again, you send your lender more business the next time you renegotiate. And, you should every 6 months, you should take a look at that for those of you who are doing whether the lender's helping with Zillow, Realtor.com, some pay-per-click, whatever they're doing. You should be looking at that on a monthly basis or on a 6 month, running window. And I like to see an ROI of about 6. So in other words, your average sales price, $300,000, your lender, in case you guys don't know, make somewhere between, it depends if they're the owner of the company or their thing, but they're making a point to a point and a half, similar to us, right? As real estate agents who are on a team, same kind of concept. So $300,000, $9,000, half of that, $4,500. So every deal you send them is $4,500. You can figure out pretty well how well they're doing with you, and you can go back to them and say, look, we sent you this amount of business over this time, and it should have equaled about this. I think maybe you should give us $3,000 a month instead of $2,000 a month, or whatever it is. You don't get lazy just because somebody's paying you. Yeah, I guess is really what I'm saying.
Absolutely. All right, let's listen to this other one. So I know that people struggle with this scenario too, and we're going to hear at least a college try at this. But I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to talk about my perspective, and we can talk about yours too, and see if there's any differences there.
Hello, is this Bernie?
Yes.
Can you hit pause?
Hi, Bernie.
I'm sorry, what?
Would you hit pause?
Yes.
Both of these calls I've noticed, and I think you coach against this, have asked, is this so-and-so?
Yeah. I just figure I've said it so many goddamn times I wasn't going to say it again, but yes.
Apparently I'm not afraid to be repetitive. So, but for those of us who are watching maybe for the first time, and I think we're gathering.
You're right. I shouldn't let it go by. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. Basically what we're saying, guys, is the immediate thought that you have the second I hear, is this Dale? The immediate thought that Dale has is, oh crap, someone's going to try and sell me something. My wall goes up. I stop listening, and I become defensive.
Right.
Fake it. Is this so-and-so? Is a bad question. Hey, so-and-so, this is Brian.
Yeah.
If it's not so-and-so, they're going to say, this ain't Bob. I don't know who you're trying to call, but
no human being on this planet will ever let a salesperson speak to them if the salesperson thinks they're looking for someone else. The immediate reaction is, oh, not Bob.
I got an out.
I'm off the hook. Bye. I don't got to talk about this. Yeah.
But yeah, please stop doing that, everybody who's watching.
Yeah, it's a really bad habit. I wasn't even pointing it out because I'm just like, I think we've said that. You and I have been doing this call for 2 years now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So that's at least 104 times that we've said this. And people still do it.
Yep.
All right, let's go back to this. I'm not sure where we're at. Let me start over a little bit further back. Just trying to bleep out the dude's name.
Is this Bernie?
Yes.
Hi, Bernie. This is 24/7 Real Estate. How are you doing today?
All right.
Good. I'm just reaching out to you here. I'm going through my system, and I noticed that you had registered on my search site a few days ago looking for some houses in the Neenah area. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm just looking for my brother, though.
Oh, okay.
Not for me.
Sure. Do you know is your brother currently working with anyone right now, or is he just kind of looking on his own?
So now I don't personally like him going straight into the does your brother have an agent? Me personally, what I prefer to do when I'm speaking with not the decision maker, the first thing I want to figure out is what level of involvement do you have? What is your role in this? And is there any role or not? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes people are just like, oh, my brother said he was thinking about buying and I just thought I'd look at houses, down to my brother doesn't live here and I'm specifically scouting things for him that I think he'll like it, and I'm helping him through the process, right? So I want to figure that out. What about you, Brian?
Well, the same, and I'll even add sometimes, probably not with brother. Brother's probably an extreme, but mother, father, mother, father, child relationships. Sometimes we're talking about them having a financial investment in that as well.
Right.
And brother might, who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, if my brother needed money and I had a bunch, I would probably help him. I mean, that's not completely abnormal. But to Dale's point, we're just trying to figure out at what level. Was my brother's gonna looking to buy a house and I was bored because I'm unemployed or I'm retired and I got nothing better to do? Or, hey, we work together. I mean, there's so many different levels. And to your point, how can you move forward without doing the discovery? And I think we get caught up in those questions that we feel comfortable with. What are those questions we feel comfortable with? How are you going to finance? Do you have an agent? Those type of questions.
When do you want to move?
When do you want to move? Those very simple questions, but you know what? That gives us basically the LP Mama script, right? Bedrooms, bathroom, and we need that information, but it's not really that valuable unless you've got the other stuff.
Right. And I'll point this out for everybody. The reason Brian and I want to know what's your level of involvement is because I want to figure out, are you an influencer in this, and or are you in any way a decision maker, right?
Absolutely.
Before I leave that topic, because if you are not influential and you're not a decision maker, I'm going to pretty quickly try to get that person's contact info from you. However, if you are influential and you are a decision maker, I'm going to get as much, I'm going to bear as much influence on you as I possibly can, right? While I'm in that call. So it really determines how deep am I going to go with you.
Yeah. And I will say this either way, it's hard to give, like, my brother wouldn't give my phone number, so the other thing that you're going to realize if this person's not an influencer is you're going to have to build some significant rapport and trust before you're going to get that other person's contact information as well.
Yes. And I have a tricky script for that actually works, and we can do it.
I'd love to hear that.
Good. Let's hear what he did, and because I want to laugh at this part that I know is coming up.
Okay, cool.
Kind of looking on his own right now.
Sure. Do you have any contact information for him? I'd be happy to.
No, I don't know my brother.
That was
Sorry.
the fun part.
I couldn't resist just blurting
Right.
that out. No,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know my brother's phone number, but I'm looking for him.
If you find him, please let me know.
Yeah, again, my original intent of the phone call, I thought he was calling to find his brother.
That's really funny. All right, so let's hear what happens with this attempt at getting the brother's contact info.
And chat.
I don't know exact address. He lives in Appleton off of 00. I don't know the exact address.
Sure. Do you have like a phone number or email address for him?
I'd rather not give that out. He might be pissed off at me.
There you
if I
go.
did.
Sure.
All right, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about the script. Now, this doesn't work every time, but that works 5% of the time, right? Would you
Probably
agree?
not even that much.
Very.
It's never worked for me, I can tell you that.
So here's the way that goes. This is how it ends, and this is how it always ends. Hey, Brian, can I have so-and-so's phone number? Well, I don't
No,
feel
no.
comfortable giving it out. What are you going to say?
What would I say in that scenario?
Yeah, what does every lead say?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable with that. If you give me your contact information, I'll have him give you a call.
There we go. Now, that's how things work. That's logical, right?
Mhm.
So listen to this script instead. So it's your brother.
Okay.
Brian, that sounds great. So I hear that your brother's really doing the searching right now. My company and I, we maintain a short list of properties that aren't on the market yet that people can't find elsewhere. And I'd really like to see if maybe we have a perfect fit for him on that list. So can you take my information and give it to him and ask him to give me a call?
Yeah, I can do that. That's no problem.
Okay, excellent. Here's my phone number. Blah,
one, two,
blah, blah,
okay.
blah, blah, blah.
I got it. Thanks. Perfect.
Okay, excellent. So if you can ask him to give me a call, when do you think he'd be able to call me?
I'm pretty sure he works until about 5:00, so sometime after 5.
Okay, excellent. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll step out of whatever meeting I'm in. Let's just say, hopefully he'll call me between 6 or 7 this evening, or maybe even tomorrow. But what I'll do is I'll just step out of whatever meeting I'm in so that I don't miss his call. What number will he be calling from?
Perfect. Hey, he's going to call from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
There it is. Okay. Now, this script actually works a decent amount of the time. People
Yeah.
don't realize what they're doing because I've done it the logical way around, which is you're going to give them my contact info and they think I'm going to wait for that phone call to happen because I just gave them the feeling that that's what was going to happen in the world. That's really not what's going to happen. You're going to give me that number and I'm going to hang up with you and I'm going to call your brother.
Or maybe in that scenario, I might even just wait until 6 o'clock. And if he doesn't call me, I might call him.
Or yes,
yeah.
if it's that immediate, I would wait until 6, see if he calls. And then I'd call the guy and say, hey, I spoke to your brother so-and-so. He mentioned you might be able to call this evening when you got off work. He said that you were looking to buy a home in that whatever area. How's that search going or whatever, right?
Yeah. And, again, because realistically, you're going to get somewhere between 5 to 10% of those people are actually going to call you between 6 and 7 o'clock tonight, realistically.
Right.
So, you can do a couple things. You can wait until the next day because I don't necessarily want to call someone at 7, 8 o'clock at night. But you can wait till the next day and say, hey, I spoke to your brother yesterday. He said you were interested in buying a house. He gave me I gave you my contact information, and I'm sure you got busy last night. And with that in mind, I just wanted to touch base on something along those lines that you can do. I probably wouldn't call her. I might text in that. I might say, hey, hey, Bob, or hey, Dale, this is Brian Curtis. I just spoke with your brother. He said that you're going to give me a call at 6 o'clock at night. I look forward to talking to you.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that because, oftentimes, so you guys, this is recorded. If you want to use that script, it works really well. But let's talk about text. That can be a softer way to bridge the gap with a stranger, right? Rather than a phone call. A phone call definitely is abrupt. And even sometimes when you get referrals, right, you could start off by texting them. It's a softer, easier way, especially, with these complete strangers, cold leads, like we're trying to ambush them with a phone call, essentially is what you're trying to do and be able to have a phone call with them. But if it's warmer, you can start off with a warmer touch, like a text, something less invasive.
Well, and here's an interesting thing. I think we had Jesse Bodwine on call on Cast Call. I don't know, sometime in the last 3 months I've slept, but I use his system, and that system is very text heavy, for lack of a better way to put it. We do some voicemails and we do some text messages and some gift text messages. But the campaign that I built has a 48% contact rate, and I want you guys to think about that who are listening. How many people do you have a 48% contact rate with? It's next to none. So, all of this is changing. And I think, Dale and I, we're not anti-calling, by the way. If anyone thinks we're anti-calling, we're not anti-calling. But what we're trying to do is figure out how to get a higher answer rate. So if I can text somebody and then set up an appointment to have a conversation with them, great. Now, personally, it's funny because we had Robbie T on here, and Robbie would disagree with me if you're watching. Hey, Robbie, I feel like we need to get people on the phone sooner than later. Robbie is all about, hey, I'll set an appointment on text and text and text and text and go back and forth. And that works for him and his team. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm still a little bit old school where I want to have a conversation with somebody. The reason I want to have a conversation with somebody is I can't measure your emotion. I can't measure your commitment. I can't measure diddle over text messages. All I can do is read the words. So, so anyway, but we're not against starting a conversation with text. Now, 3 years ago, I was against starting a conversation with text, if I had to be honest, And,
oh yeah, of course, because like text was like text is when you got into the friend zone, right? And you're like, shit, I'm stuck on text message. How do I get out of the friend zone and get a date here, right? And talk to you on the phone.
Yes,
but now, like, it can start out that way very easily.
Yeah, and again, begin with the end in mind is one of the things that I'm a huge fan of. So, if you're texting somebody, I'm not about texting people to set appointments, although I've done it. So what's my end in mind? My end is to get on the phone. So one of the things that you can do for those of you who are going, well, how do I get somebody on the phone? Well, if you start going back and forth and have a decent text conversation, say, hey, this might be simpler if we just had a phone conversation. That way we could communicate a lot quicker and get save a lot of time for both me and you. With that in mind, are you available to chat now, or would in a couple hours work better?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Good. Are we, we have 2 minutes left.
Yeah, I don't think we have time for a call in 2 minutes. But you know
sorry,
what?
Lee.
Oh, that's okay. That's I'll have to do less work for next week's call. But with that in mind, I think we're doing something different next, or is it next week or 2 weeks from now? It's 2 weeks from now. Why don't we?
Yeah, so I think we're not going to have a session next week. I'm going to be out of town.
Okay.
On the 30th, we're going to be interviewing Dan Corkill, the founder of Follow Up Boss. So he's going to be on. We're going to be talking about, best practices for lead conversion inside. Well, obviously he's Follow Up Boss, and we don't have to. There's no secret about it. I love Follow Up Boss. I use Follow Up Boss. You use Follow Up Boss. We think it's fantastic. In the world out there are a lot of people trying to do all in one, and then there's specialists like Follow Up Boss. And so we'll have him on. We'll talk about it from their perspective, because you and I both think it's a really good system. But he'll be on the 30th.
Yeah, and I think the reason that you want to tune in there is not because you're a Follow Up Boss user or not a Follow Up Boss user, but if you think that Dale and I have seen a lot of conversations, no, we haven't. Not in reference to the number of conversations that Dan sees. I mean, the last I heard, they have 40,000 users. So if you want to talk about someone who's been able to aggregate some data and give us some really good information about how to convert stuff, and not in an anecdotal way, but in a very analytical way. I've known Dan, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. He's a great guy. And I think you want to show up for that. If you don't want to miss any other cash call during this year, I think you definitely want to show up on the 30th. I think that'll be worth your time.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you guys. You will notice. Hold on. I want to have a conversation. We're just going to have a conversation with Joy, Justin, Karim, Mike, Paul, Terry, Tim, Courtney, all you people, Kathy Waters. Somebody raised by show of hands, who wants Dale and Brian to listen to one of your calls and give you feedback? Or do you just want us to play other people's calls so you can laugh at it? Why don't you message? Let's see it. Message away in the chat. Who wants us to listen to their calls?
Or who doesn't? At least let us know you're listening.
There you go. Kathy's giving us emojis. I see that one. Me, Joy wants us to listen to her call. Joy, Kathy wants other people's. There we go. Joy, our posts inside Lab Coat Agents with the registration link for the show has the Dropbox link in there where you can drop recorded calls. Karim,
I like laughing at other people. Fair enough.
Small secret, we do too, Karim. Joy, I submitted a call yesterday. Joy, I didn't see it. Joy, I checked the folder. Do this. It was a long one. Okay. You know what? Here, I'm gonna give you my email address. Let's coordinate outside of here, and I want to make sure that Dropbox link is working properly. Smart Inside Sales.
And as Dale's doing that, let me say something for all of you who are, and maybe none of you are team leaders, I don't know, but I'm sure at some point in time, a team leader is going to watch this call. If you want something to be very effective, give Dale and I a call. Here's why. Not because we're better than you, because we're not you. And here's what I mean by that. And I'll just tell the quickest of stories. I had an administrator who worked for me for, gosh, it's been going on 6-7 years now. But for the first 3 years that she worked for me, she refused to use a second monitor. She got on a webinar, and on that webinar, somebody said, you need to use a second monitor. And this is the God honest truth. 5 minutes after that webinar was over, she came up to me as if she had heard about it for the very, very first time and said, I think I need a second monitor. I said, tell me more about that. Well, so-and-so said it's much more efficient. And I wanted to say something. I said, absolutely. And I went out and bought her a monitor. I wanted to say, well, why the hell didn't you listen when I said it? I tell you that story to say your agents go numb to your voice. So if you're a team leader and you're listening to calls and you're getting frustrated, or you think your agents can do better, send us those calls, because it will mean more coming from us, not because we're better, but just because we're not you.
Yeah, dude, as Gary Keller says, you can't be a prophet in your own backyard.
Amen.
Right?
I didn't know that was a Gary quote, but I've heard the quote.
That's a Gary quote, right? So we're prophets to other people, like my wife doesn't listen to me. She sells real estate, but a lot of other people do. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. All right, good. So great seeing everybody. Thank you. And we will be back on the 30th.
All right. Dale, have
Bye.
a great vacation. Talk to you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.